Just curious, how many people here have ever used eye tracking before? Okay, small percentage. It's usually about 4 to 17% of people for market research have used eye tracking. A lot more interested in it. I'm going to talk a little bit about our company, what we do, show you some examples. If those who have heard of eye tracking or know about it, there's a company called Tobii out of Sweden. They're known as the gold standard in eye tracking. They started a little over a decade ago helping paralyzed people talk with their eyes through a computer. 3 Swedes developed algorithms so that people whose minds were fine, but they unfortunately couldn't communicate, used through a computer could talk. In 2009, the CEO realized some of the challenges with eye tracking was you can only eye track people in a certain room. It limited demographics, and to test in many, many areas, it was expensive to travel and set up rooms. So he realized the future of scalability and affordability with eye tracking would be done through webcams, regular webcams on computers. And they funded EyeTrackShop. They started our company in 2009. We started in Europe and Scandinavia. I joined the company. I came from a neuroscience company, NeuroFocus, that was bought by Nielsen, because I was looking for a company that could scale, and I love new technology. This is my 3rd startup. We launched the US market in 2011. I was the 8th hire. We now have 62 people. We're growing really fast. We won the Great Minds Award at ARF this year. We came in 2nd place for it. Basically what we do, for those who don't know eye tracking, we basically can tell what people see, what order they see it, how long they see it, and sometimes most importantly what they didn't see. And also how quick did it take them to find what they were looking at. It works for anything you can put on a screen. We do a lot of video, whether it's TV ads, promotions, product integration, and basically anything you can put on the screen. The main takeaway, the main advantage, is that you can now test anywhere in the world without traveling. We did a study recently for P&G in 4 countries. No one had to travel. They had the results in a week, which was pretty amazing. We use panel companies. I know USAMP is here. That's one of the panel companies we use. Our clients basically tell us who they want to study. We send the links out to the people on the panel. We use a double opt-in, so no one can say they've been spied on. They have to opt in. And the results are extremely fast because everything's done pretty much automated. The technology, our clients call what we do brilliantly simple, because the technology is brilliant, but the execution of it is very, very simple, which is what clients like. After the opt-in, there's a double opt-in. I'll walk you through how it's done. The webcam starts taking pictures of your eyes, about 20 pictures a second. It takes your eye, your eyebrow, different parts of the head, your nose, and so our algorithms are able to tell exactly what people are looking at by the angles. And that's basically how we're able to tell exactly what people are looking at. Next year, mid-year, we're going to come out with eye tracking for the tablets. And then the end of the year, we plan on launching eye tracking off of mobile phones, which would be pretty cool. Most of the development's out of China and Sweden. We have 25 people in China, and 17 in Sweden. The way the process works is this screen number 4 is what pops up on the respondent screen. They'll say, welcome to the survey. We're going to be asked to do an eye tracking study and answer a few questions. We combine the eye tracking with articulated response. Whatever the stimuli is, you send it to us. We send that out to the respondents. Most people don't know how to turn on a webcam. I'm just curious, how many people don't know how to turn on a webcam? Okay, much less than normal. This is a tech group, so it's understandable. A lot of respondents don't, so we basically do it for them. In number 5, it says allow us to turn on your webcam. Once they turn it on, they see themselves. And then there's an intuitive, it's hard to see here, but in blue on number 6 in the middle, it'll say move left, move right, closer, further, and then it'll say your eyes have been detected, and they hit next. Once they hit next, they'll see the stimuli, what we're testing. They'll go through whatever we're doing the eye gaze on, and then they'll follow up with a questionnaire. We've done over 300,000 respondents since 2009, and our database is growing very fast. We created a lot of best practices, which I'll go through a little later. And we basically tag everything as far as what's seen, how quick was it seen, how much time was spent on the areas of interest, and the fixation order and how they looked at it. And this is both for video and for static, and I'll show you a few samples of both. We also ask questions about brand recall, message recall, and purchase intent, and so we have norms on all of those. And again, the process is very simple. We get the stimuli, we get the screening criteria and the questions. It gets sent to the respondents. We get the gaze data, and then we do the report. We work with a lot of different companies. Our model to start with was to work with research companies, because it's much better to have the research companies We white label the product to quite a few of them. One of our largest clients is Google. Google tests YouTube ads, and then we're their third-party validator, and then they go to the client. They've actually been able to raise rates on people based on the results that we give them. We do, with P&G, we do print and quite a few other areas. We found out that we were in the news a lot, so companies called us, and that's why you'll see, besides research companies, direct clients. We've also invented something that just came out called the Real CPM, and you'll be hearing about it more and more. There's a big thing going on right now in digital is viewability. Is it in screen? And it's a very hot thing that's going on right now. We are able to tell not only is it in screen, but did they see it or not, which is huge. Right now, about 50% of all impressions online are never seen, and 30% of in-screen ads are never seen. So we invented what's called the Real CPM. If you go online and go to realcpm.com, you'll see the details of it. I'm going to go through a few example reports. This was a commercial from Volkswagen. This was a Super Bowl commercial. When we do TV, any kind of TV ads, we prompt the person and say, you're going to see a TV ad. When you want to change the station, click. So on the right-hand side, you'll see the percentage of people that are looking at it, and as they change the station, that will go down. On the left, you'll see supposedly pink and blue dots, and that's showing frame by frame how men and women are looking at this ad. And as you can see that it is fairly different. This ad was very good in a lot of ways because you had babies, you had pets, you had Star Wars, and it was about halfway through the commercial before you even knew it was a car commercial. This actually scored very, very high for people staying engaged. This is the first time that the product actually comes in. And then what we do is you can isolate 3 top scenes. On key scenes, when your product or whatever you want to know is seen, we can tell what percentage, whether it's men or women, whatever the demographics you want, are actually looking at the product or logo or whatever it is at that time, which is pretty powerful. You can see that key element 1, 33% of the men, 25% of the women, and so forth. This is a embedded Google ad for Procter & Gamble for a woman's razor. And what we're able to tell you is what percentage of people actually are looking at the video. You'll see the moving heat map where people are looking. And you'll see sometimes people are looking outside. We'll tell how much time they spent on the video and how quick did it take them to find it. And then what we also do, we take it frame by frame so you can see what percentage of people are looking at the video and what people are looking at other things on the site. And this is the graph here, the attention graph, so you can identify maybe there are certain frames or sections in the video where people aren't looking so that you can make some adjustments. And you'll see here when we show the floor, it goes down dramatically, and then when she starts shaving her leg, it goes up dramatically. And then again, we take, in this particular product, they wanted to know when it's on the shelf, when it's being used, and then at the end, were people looking at it? So we can tell exactly what percentage of people are looking at it at the times that it matters most. Briefly, I'll go through an example for Google. This was a McDonald's ad. Google tests the actual page in context and also in isolation. First, you get a heat map to see what people looked at, where they paid attention, where they didn't pay attention. And then the opacity map is probably where the biggest conversations go on, because if it's black, that means they didn't see it. And that tells you a lot. As you can see, one of the things that stands out is the McDonald's logo was not really seen at all. Now for McDonald's, when you spend $1 billion, it's not that important because people see a red box of fries and they know it's McDonald's. But in a lot of cases, it's really important to know what's not seen. Then the page is broken down into areas of interest. For example, area A, only 40% saw it, which was a little below the norm. These particular norms are not our norms, they're YouTube norms, because Google doesn't care how they score against anyone else. They have their own norms for just YouTube ads. And then they spend 0.4 of a second on area 1 versus 0.6. McDonald's ad, 100% of the people saw it. And they looked at it for almost double the norm, which would make McDonald's pretty happy. And then the fixation order, how do they look at the page? And again, these kind of insights, you can ask all the questions you want. You can't get these answers. This is a biometric measurement that's not an opinion. What people see is a fact. So here's the order they looked at it, 1 through 6, and you can see it took 0.6 of a second for them to find the McDonald's ad. And if you look in the bottom right, it took almost 7 seconds to find that area of the screen. And then we asked ad recall and brand recall. And then one last study was a a study that Nielsen had us do for Cadbury in Europe. This is an interesting study because Cadbury advertises on this e-commerce site, and they want to know where should we put our ad. And we, in a lot of our reports, we have what's called the see-say gap. We know what they see as a fact. We know what they say is not always, for a variety of reasons, because everyone's biography comes into play when you articulate something. How your day went, how you're raised, your school, your family. That all affects how you answer a question. If you look at the top, stimuli 1, 95% of people saw that ad. They looked at it for 3 seconds, and it took them 1 second to find. Almost the same ad moved into the middle right. Only 9% saw it. They looked at it for a half a second, and it took them 8 seconds to find. So that's almost a worthless ad. In fact, if we only showed it for 7 seconds, no one would have seen it. And I mentioned the see-say gap. This is just a brief example. In stimuli 1, 95% of people saw it. We asked them, 85% said they did, which is good. But if you look at stimuli 2, 9% we know factually saw it, yet 22 said they did, which means 13 made it up. And these are insights that are really, really good to know. I wanted to keep it right around 10 minutes, so thank you very much. That's kind of an overview of what we do, and we'll have some examples a little later. Thank you.